Hello, team. Welcome back to another Line Warcast. We have another team game from the beta for team games, free for all, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, all of it in Line War. We got two teams today. Alpha Team, Crimson Giant, and Notorious Nubs, and Bravo Team, Deedland, and someone said that my nickname sucks. Crimson is right here in blue. The teammate Nubs is here on the left-hand side in red. Nickname is in the bottom left in teal, and Nickname's teammate Deedland is in the top right. So both the members of Bravo team are actually on like direct opposite sides of each other, diagonally. Red and blue on Alpha team have a chance to isolate either one of them, really, when it comes down to it. Crimson's going for an airport, a factory, and a barracks. Deedland's gone for two factories after going for four barracks immediately. That's why they're already built. Three factories and a barracks for Nubs, and two airports, a dock, and now a subsequent factory for Nickname. Nickname's sitting on a bunch of gas. In team games, you can share gas and money with your ally. Obviously, that's not going to come into play for a little bit with Bravo team because you have to share territory with your ally to share income, and you have to be able to connect a refinery to your ally's refinery or depot to share energy. So Bravo team won't be able to do that. Alpha team potentially will when they meet up in these mountains, presumably is where they're going to be. We'll see what Deedland's going for in a second. Tanks from Crimson out of the two factories. And it's all artillery for Nubs. And the best part about team games, as I've said before, is that we can zoom in more than we ever have been able to in the 1v1 in the main branch right now. Super hype. Nickname's going to have to deal with this attack from Nubs because I assume it's going to get a little bit hectic in a second. Nickname's gone for two strikers immediately. Not really sure what else is being built because I can't see the vision in the replay without switching between everyone. But this, I mean, this is just a, like, I would have to do this for every single player. Look at that. Wonderful. And now somehow we're seeing Crimson's range on the airport. Great start. Got first little skirmish between the infantry of Red and Nickname. Rather slow start, but both players are now going to start getting into it with the player closest to them. The battle between Crimson on Alpha Team and Deedland on Bravo here, and the battle between Nickname on Bravo and Nubs on Alpha here. Nubs is going for 3 SAMs now that there's airports out, and Nubs has seen this, knows that there's planes. It's going to be a combination of artillery SAM and artillery tank for Crimson, taking on Deedland. Strikers out of blue. So Deedland's going to have to start making SAMs. There's already one built, which is a good start. With just one airport from blue, 2 factories, a 3rd factory now all making SAMs. It should be enough for Deedland to slowly start building a SAM count. Huge surround from yellow here. It's actually a kind of nifty move with the retreat move for the commandos to kind of cut off reinforcements and totally encircle that army. It's pretty sweet. Deedland and Nubs are probably going to get into it here as Deedland starts trying to make their way into the middle of the map, which is a really smart call from Bravo team because they have to establish like a little bit of a presence in the middle of the map. Otherwise, they might get cut off entirely. And in team games, we're gonna have to watch switching the location because you can see there's a whole fight going up in the top right and now a whole fight going in the bottom left. These infantry rushing on top of the artillery, infantry on artillery just in the open like this, the infantry will actually trade relatively well, as you can imagine. The thing that Nubs would need to do is have their own infantry in front of this artillery to body block for a little bit. These commandos are likely going to find nothing here, and this dock for Nickname is probably going to come into play and might be huge. The only reason it's not going to be immediately impactful is because neither Crimson... Well, I mean, Crimson has one airport, but Nubs doesn't have an airport. But if these... I mean, these missile boats are going to be able to park themselves right in this bay. I think they could actually hit this factory potentially. Certainly a cruiser would be able to. And after this first exchange, Nubs comes out on top and is going to be able to start pushing on this barracks and will likely be able to take it out. This is a very important position for Nubs because the SAMs of the mountains are going to make it really tough for these strikers of nicknames to do much. This is just a meat grinder in this little pass between Deedlin and Crimson. Crimson's got a 4th striker on the way. There's actually a ton of map on the right-hand side, so I'm interested to see if Crimson decides to go for transport planes or somehow tries to expand that way. Nickname's got a transport boat, which is intentional, so I mean Nickname at some point is going to want to go across the water potentially. And now 6 SAMs for Nubs here, which against 6 strikers, if the strikers were to fly into these SAMs, it's a pretty decent trade for the SAMs. I think the strikers might still be able to take out a few of them. Nubs is moving up the strikers. We're gonna have to, or the SAMs, pardon me. We'll see how that comes to play and go a little bit big picture. And we can see that Deedlin on the far right is actually making good progress. Two strikers, the very bold ones, decide to go into the mountains and both get taken out. 1 SAM goes down, potentially another striker. Depending on that hit, I guess it would be 1 more. As part of this patch, I think this game was played before the changes took effect, but SAMs and missile boats are getting reworked in that they're going to attack the most damaged unit instead of just the closest one. So it's actually a huge buff for SAMs and missile boats really when it comes down to it. We'll have to see exactly what sort of numbers are shipped for like the final version, but as it is right now, it's pretty big for SAMs. 4th factory for Nubs. The whole flower of SAMs. The beautiful thing about getting a full dot of SAMs is that Nubs doesn't really need to continue building SAMs, and SAMs are relatively expensive units. Crimson Giant going for tanks. The tanks against this many infantry and artillery. The tanks will actually do decent, but the 3 artillery pieces are fully deployed, so they're just pounding away at this. Here comes the planes for Crimson. 5 strikers, well 4 really, they're just going to go around the back. It's a great play trying to snipe this factory. And Nickname's avoiding the SAMs. Very clever to go this way and not into the SAMs here. I mean, I guess Nubs could go build more SAMs at this point to move to the right-hand side, and that is exactly what Nubs is going to start doing. Deedlin's broken out on the left-hand side, is going to be able to start pressuring Nubs on the north side of Nubs' base. Just 2 random, or 3 commandos for Deedlin just hanging out there. Could come into play if they could snipe this gas potentially. I mean, this is where they're trying to head. And still a meat grinder in this little choke. These strikers do actually hit the factory. You can see that Crimson's done the cool play with the move command strikers and like that kind of figure 8 kind of loop-to-loop over where this factory was. So instead of just targeting and then the planes would have to fly over like directly towards the building, by using the move command like that, you can get them to go around. Crimson's going to delete the command and they're going to head right back directly home. I mean, it's fine because I don't think Crimson want to wait around, but over time the planes should go back down the path, I believe. 3 missile boats are going to try to snipe this gas. That would be relatively big, actually, because then Crimson would be left with no gas, and those planes, the 4 remaining planes, wouldn't be able to fly anymore. 3 missile boats are going to slowly be able to deal with this. I mean, if there's 3 infantry fighting 3 boats, I can only imagine who's going to win this. I have no idea. With a commando for Deedlin showing up, I mean, if the commando also starts attacking the refiner, it's certainly going to go down. This position has turned into a little bit of a stalemate. It makes a lot of sense. We'll go big picture just to see what's up. Deedlin in the top, pressuring these 2 barracks for Nubs. I like the fact that Nubs went for a second barracks there to start capping more and push against Deedlin. But here's, it's a very strong defensive position for Nickname in the forest and the mountains. Infantry get a bonus in the forests, and in the mountains, if you control the mountain territory, your units move quicker. And so, I mean, the defensive lines in the mountains are just a very strong position to be taking. And so it would be tough for Nubs to be able to break through that. The 3 SAMs, there's actually 1 left now. 1 plane goes down. Potentially 2, not even 2. 2 more SAMs on the way for Deedland. I mean, Deedland's making very good progress here because there's an artillery number advantage for Deedland as well as just infantry, so that's a very tough position. I mean, Crimson's lost the refinery part of me as well. And unfortunately for Nubs, Nubs isn't really in a position to be able to help out. And won't be for some time because Nubs is still like a little bit further away. Sam's fighting Strikers like we talked about. I mean, Sam's would get a buff here. I don't know how well they do in this situation. There was quite a few Strikers, 3 more Sams on the way. And Nubs is going for more factories, which I definitely like, given the situation. Crimson's holding on. Still no expansions on the right-hand side of the map, but Crimson's made their way down to the bottom right. Nearly has all of that capped. There's no airstrip as of yet for Nickname. It's 2 full airports worth of Strikers. I think part of it becomes, I mean, Nickname's on 2 gas, so definitely can afford this. We'll have to watch if there's gonna be an airstrip anytime soon. Deedland's very slowly pushing through this. I mean, we know there's grounds being made because Deedland's now on the other side of this little choke, I guess. But in general, I mean, it still favors the defender a little bit in the sense that Crimson's reinforcements are going to be able to reach the front lines quicker than Deedland's reinforcements can. Still a huge kind of skirmish in the center of the map for control. I'm not really sure who even controls it. What? Like, Deedland has these 2 squares in the mountains. Nubs is going to have to break out of this and stabilize and deal with these Strikers that are coming in for another run. Deedland takes out the 2 barracks on the top. That's a huge play for Bravo team. And let's see what 3 SAMs can do against this many Strikers. I'm really interested to see post-patch how this would go. But as of right now, I mean, there's enough Strikers that they're going to be able to reset the SAM count, which is important. If Nickname just keeps sending in the planes and making sure that there's only ever 1 or 2 SAMs and doesn't allow Nubs to get like a critical mass of SAMs and get another whole circle of it, that's very good for Alpha or Bravo team, pardon me. Commando's trying to run by in the back. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything. Crimson is still out of gas, unfortunately. There's a power plant going down here, some solar panels to get some energy to get these planes off the ground. But it's going to take a while for it to actually show up, and Nickname's just camping this gas. Which is, I mean, it's obviously great for Bravo team to make sure that Alpha has no gas here. Nubs doesn't have any gas units, so Nubs doesn't need the gas. Deedland's 1 commando is still just heading down. Oh, I guess this is actually the route that these commandos are taking to flank Crimson's base. And Crimson's still in trouble. I'm not really sure what the economies are like, which it would be important to note, but I have a feeling that the economies are probably similar, but I feel like I like Bravo team's position a little bit more. This is no joke, this push. And if Deedland were to just start sending everything down in a frontal assault, it might be enough. The question is if Crimson can get the gas up, and soon it will be. I mean, there it is. The power plant is now done. So over time, those planes are going to be able to start flying again. But Deedland already has a full flower of SAMs to deal with that. Deedland's doing a great job to control the middle of the map with the infantry. In general, I think Bravo team is actually winning in the center. Nickname's getting across the island. This is going to be huge. If Nickname can get across here and develop like a proxy base or open up a second front against Crimson, that is going to be great news for Bravo team. Because what it'll end up doing is you potentially get into a position where you've knocked out Crimson and it's only Nubs left, and 1v2ing in this game is very difficult, I think. That being said, Crimson over time has got the artillery advantage now. There's all these artillery pieces for blue and only 1 with the second one reinforcing for Deedland. And now Crimson can start trying to push out through the center of the map and retake some of this territory. Great dig-in. I mean, I was going to say great dig-in for Nubs. I think it's still going to be a dig-in. or at least artillery on the coast. Artillery against missile boats, this definitely favors the artillery over time. The only boat that can really take on artillery in the coastal sense is a cruiser. I don't think Nickname's going for cruisers, it's still more missile boats. Nickname's got rid of this defensive line. Obviously, Nickname knows that it's time to push out, or senses weakness and that they can overwhelm with the number of commandos that are here. At this point, Nubs has enough SAMs to deal with however many planes that Nickname has, and clearly Deedlin has enough SAMs here. And here comes this transport plane. So the transport plane is huge. If Crimson can get across to the right-hand side, that's very big. Nickname's landed in the bottom for Bravo team. The planes are going to be super clutch in this situation to clean up these commandos. Nickname's actually built an airstrip here. It's a very aggressive airstrip. If it doesn't get scouted, it's going to pay off big time. All these planes are going to be able to fly over and then start hitting all of Crimson's production, because Crimson doesn't have any SAMs. Crimson's going for a big push. It's a lot of artillery, and it's probably a good idea to push. Very interested to see if Crimson's going to have enough here. Nickname's built a barracks beside this airstrip, probably going to build commandos out of it. I think at this point it's imperative for Nickname to set this base up. I mean, imperative for Bravo team really as well. Here come the missile boats to try to clear these strikers, or at least help out. First transport plane is done for Crimson, who continues the push. The infantry attacking for Deedlin, but there's just such a mass of artillery at this point that it's just not really enough infantry to be able to deal with it. This is huge. Deedlin built an airstrip and is now sharing this airstrip with Nickname, so Nickname's planes are now in a whole different position. This is one thing you can do in team games, where if you build an airstrip, you can share it with your ally. Great play by Crimson to jump on that barracks before it can really set up and start pumping out units. Huge fight in the middle. And Nubs, I mean, Nubs is going to have to position these SAMs very delicately, because there's now multiple fronts that these planes could be coming from. Nickname's pushing out on the left-hand side. And it's such a strong airstrip. I mean, this airstrip can actually hit Deedlin's base as well. And, I mean, the next thing these strikers might do is actually help out over here. I think Deedlin is slowly hanging on. The defender's advantage is coming in clutch, just because all these reinforcements are a little bit closer to the front line. And here come the strikers for Nickname. Nickname loses the barracks, but is able to secure the airstrip. The missile boats are close to defend it. Still nothing on the right-hand side. And this is starting to look a little bit scary for Alpha Team, I think. Nubs is starting to push through the center of the map. And as long as Nubs doesn't lose on this side... How is this? I thought these were pink. These are artillery, my bad. As long as Nubs doesn't lose on the left-hand side, then Alpha... I mean, then it's good for Alpha Team, but I don't know. This is a very close game. What's going on? We can see what Nickname was able to do with the strikers here. Trim down the number of artillery, and at this point I don't think Deedlin's really in immediate risk of losing production. Crimson dropping on the right hand side of the map, that's super good, get some more economy, and now Nickname is starting to target airstrips. And this is a big moment in the game, because Crimson might lose 4 strikers that are sitting on the tarmac here, unfortunately, when these strikers finally kill the airport, which should be like the next missile potentially. Nope, I lied. The next missile potentially. How about the third one? 4th one? Nice. Okay, there you go. I know what I'm talking about. Center of the map, highly contested. This is the moment that matters. In some sense, if Nubs can get over here and start dealing with this airstrip. Nubs has a number of commandos in the north here that are going to be able to help out and potentially even just get on the airstrip themselves. It's a number of artillery. And I don't think Nickname's going to be able to break out on the left. Nickname's taken some territory back, but it's not a bunch. Great play from Crimson to have commandos here. Take out one barracks. I don't think that these 3 commandos are going to be able to take out the airstrip with all the strikers showing up. Huge slugfest continuing between Deedlin and Crimson as it has the entire game. Deedlin's getting another factory. That might be enough to either tip this in their favor or at least make sure that Deedlin isn't going to lose that position or more production. This is a great defensive line of Sam's because it really cuts off this angle. For Nickname to now transfer planes to this airstrip, if there was room, Nickname would have to do some kind of like micro tricks to get the planes to, you know, skirt around these SAMs. They can't go over the mountains. Otherwise, there's definitely enough SAMs that they would just get owned here. 5 strikers are going to try to show up and deal with that advancing artillery army. That's very important for their own survival. It's going to do a lot, but it's, I mean, if Nubs just pushes on this, I think Nubs can get there in time just by like attack moving this artillery and all these commandos. Still no production has gone down for Deedland. Crimson slowly is losing the numbers between Nickname strikers and just the attrition of being the attacking force. It's really these strikers are finding a ton of value. And it's hard because Crimson can't really start pumping out a bunch of SAMs because they're so embroiled in an actual artillery battle here, pardon me. 5 strikers in the middle are still alive for Nickname. That is huge. And Nickname's retreating to this position. I don't know if Nickname's going to give up this defensive line. That might be what's happening. Nubs is starting to push with a number of artillery. There's not enough SAMs to, or I mean, there's no SAMs around to deal with those strikers, but I wonder if Nubs is going to slowly over time get it. Missed this, but a great snipe from Crimson on this airstrip. If there's nowhere for these planes to land, they will just explode when they have no, when they're done their sortie here. Because that's what planes do when they don't have anywhere to land. Which could be big, because I mean, if you think about like the cost of destroying the airstrip and then plus 3 strikers on top of that, could be pretty big. Nickname's digging in to protect this one barracks. Super like it, especially since there are boats that Nickname can use to get close to the coast to fight Blue's infantry if it comes to that. And Deedlin very slowly with this extra factory is going to be able to start pushing through this choke again. Artillery keeps advancing, but the 5 strikers are still getting great value. Here's a big fight we gotta watch. Here's the SAMs are gonna get a pretty good trade against these strikers. Potentially even getting one more. See, I think post-patch, that SAM would have attacked this striker instead of the other one and potentially gotten a kill, which, you know, over time does matter. Nubs is on 5 factories. I mean, it's a lot of production, and now this airstrip is finally under pressure from commandos. The artillery pieces aren't really going to come into play here. This is a great game. Multiple fronts. Barracks for Nickname here. I mean, Nickname could just start ferrying units across. If Nickname got fancy, he could even use this transport boat to go all the way around. Crimson's doing a great move by building a barracks on the right-hand side to start capping all that economy, and Yellow definitely is going to start pushing here in a second, given the numbers. Huge fight on the airstrip. This is what matters. This is a huge advantage for Bravo team having these strikers in the center of the map, but this airstrip, I mean, maybe it won't go down now that there's 2 commandos and 2 infantry for Yellow also defending with the strikers. Great coordination from Bravo team to keep that alive, at least for the moment. And here we go. One thing that either player could do here is just to make a defensive line, and here goes Crimson. Crimson's going to do this. I mean, in the choke like this, it is pretty strong to have a defensive line. And this is the right play, pardon me, if Alpha Teams thinks that they have more economy. And Crimson doesn't feel the need to push here, right? If your team has more economy, I mean, Nubs is doing a great job in the center of the map to capture all of this and has defended the left-hand side, so Nickname isn't able to take that economy back. There's no need to always be on the attack because as the game goes on, your team is getting further and further ahead because you have more economy. Great SAM positioning from Crimson. This airstrip is still alive, which is wild. Nubs is going for industry, got 2 farms. I don't think anyone else is building industry quite yet, but that shows the confidence of Alpha Team that Nubs feels that they can build industry and build economy instead of building units or building more production. Nickname's got a ton of missile boats here. Yeah, and Deedlin understands and recognizes that this would be a very tough position to start pushing through. I think what's happening is these artillery, this attack line is actually a little bit too close, so sometimes the artillery like push through the defensive line. I don't know, it's a little... Don't quite know what's going on there. The barracks is capping more and more for Alpha Team over time. And now Deedlin has to go. Because this is starting to look pretty bad for Bravo. Crimson taking out this airstrip was huge. And now it's really difficult because there's 5 SAMs in the mountains. So the way that this will work is that the strikers won't even necessarily see the SAMs all the time, so they'll kind of derp out when they're going to target. Now that there's multiple ones over the SAMs, they could definitely see it. But even one more striker is potentially going to go down. Yeah, certainly now. And there it goes. Nickname's starting to push up with boats, but just like happened earlier in the game, it's going to be tough. I mean, this is a great play as long as there was no artillery already at home to defend it. But unfortunately for Nickname, Nubs is ready and on top of it. As soon as these planes launch, they're going to just get hit by SAMs sitting at the outside of the airstrip. Airstrip goes down. And I think this is slowly the beginning of the end for Alpha. I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made that this was not going Alpha team, or pardon me, Bravo team's way for a little bit here. I don't know what's going to happen. I think Deedlin's probably going to end up trying to push through this choke. And Nickname's trying to do the breakout right now. I mean, sending all the boats, all the planes to try to start breaking down the production for Alpha. There's no SAMs here. The SAMs are trying to sprint to get home to intercept the planes as they return to base. Because the second they kill this airport, they go immediately home in a direct straight line. I mean, the SAMs are maybe gonna take 1 or 2 shots at these strikers. They're definitely not gonna be able to take them out, though. So it's actually Crimson is the one who breaks this defensive line and starts pushing, which I like it. Very bold. These infantry having a great day in this defensive line, just getting shelled by artillery. The boats can't actually hit the artillery. I think those 2 artillery pieces probably took out that entire thing. And this is a tough position for Deedlin to be in because you don't really want to push through it, but there's not really any other option. I guess digging in is an option here. And these missile boats are just getting hammered, and so Nickname's backing them up. This is over time with artillery here. Nubs is going to be able to slowly break this. The good thing about artillery in the mountains is that if the infantry for yellow decide to attack here, perfect, they're going to move so slowly. So now all of these artillery pieces get way longer to actually shoot. When the infantry get on top of their artillery, they're going to do a lot of damage, but that's a ton of shots that they've taken on the advance. So I think with the 5th, especially with the 5th artillery piece in the back, if yellow breaks through it, it's still a tough trade to take. I have no idea who's winning this. I mean, this is just a mass of units and has been just push and pull the entire game, as we've seen. 2 artillery pieces left, but almost all of the infantry for yellow are wiped out, and I think Nubs is just going to push through this mountain pass, and that is exactly what's going to happen. There's no more SAMs for Nubs. There's 3 on the way. But I mean, this is kind of good for Nickname. Nickname has a decent amount of planes at home, so if Nickname can get back to like keeping the SAM count low, maybe that's a little bit of hope for Bravo team. Crimson's building an airstrip, or an airport, pardon me, on the right-hand side. Here comes Nickname with the big wide flank around the back. I'm interested to see what sort of planes that Crimson's going to build out of that airport on the far right side. But nearly has... I guess not even nearly. There's still a bunch of territory that Crimson can cap. This is my favorite visual bug in the game, where factories just whipping around the body of the artillery. Love it. A huge artillery battle for blue and yellow. As expected, and as we've seen all game, a city for Nubs. Nubs is probably just crushing on economy here. And I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, Nubs is still going for more SAMs and putting down more factories. Pretty soon, I think Nubs is going to be positioned to just try to A-move through this pass. Okay, Nickname is going to try to... I mean, it's very important for Nickname to keep a foothold here. So here come all the strikers. It's a full dot of SAMs against almost 2 airports full of planes. And I mean, it's enough strikers. They're going to be able to take out all the SAMs. And so Nickname keeps that barracks for a little bit. It's a lot of artillery for blue. Same situation I think we saw like 10 minutes ago. Let's see how it goes this time. I think the difference is that Nubs is pushing in through the left-hand side. And so Deedling can't really, I mean, obviously can't defend on both fronts at the same time. And there's no airstrip for Nickname anywhere close to be able to help out here. This is such a great positioning of SAMs in the mountains. I mean, it ruins a lot of the approaches that Nickname's planes could take. Right, I mean, they could have technically, you know, helped out a little bit over here in the mountains, but with all those SAMs there, it's pretty difficult to send them on that mission. Transport planes from Crimson. I suspect the drop would be over in the north. Potentially, yeah, Nickname's got a barracks here to try to claw back into the game, which is a great call. Sneaky commando base can do wonders, as we've seen so many times in the series. A lot of infantry for red. And Deedland certainly won't be able to hang on here, and it would be a 1v2. And Nickname is kind of cornered in the bottom side of the map. I mean, making some progress here in the proxy base, but what would happen is that once Crimson is done fighting Yellow's armies to the north, is that all the production for blue can just start getting sent down to the south to crush this. Or at least make it very difficult for Nickname to progress any further. And then, economically, Alpha Team is way ahead. They have way more of the map. And here comes the sandwich. Town for Crimson. And that when the eco starts going, that's when you know Alpha Team is ahead. Unfortunately for Nickname, Crimson actually saw this and now is sending commandos down to the south to deal with it. All these extra factories for Nubs are coming in clutch here. And pretty soon would be able to push through these mountains. Nickname's got some commandos here. I mean, this is how you get back into games, is you just spread out, make a bunch of commandos, and try to take good trades. Well played. GG. Great 2v2. The second one we've casted. Absolutely wonderful. Folks, the type, again, it's a beta build, development build. Don't take it, it's still going through some changes, but this is what we have to look forward to. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you to Nubs for posting it in the Discord. See you soon. Have a great night, day, evening, whatever it is. Peace.